All right, everyone. Welcome to the reshoot of the online clinic for freestyle. We did this clinic on March 23rd, but now since we can record our meetings, I'm going to go through it again just in case you weren't able to attend. If you weren't able to attend, you would like a copy of this PDF, please feel free to shoot me an email and I'll get it to you right away. It will have all the races hyperlinked so you can watch them on your own time. And I hope everyone is safe and healthy. And thank you for all the support. And let's get started. So, why is freestyle so important? Well, first, if you look at all the races there's a lot of freestyle. You have the 50, the 100, the 200, the 400 or the 500, the 800 or the 1,000, the 1,500 or the 1,650. And then you have a 100 IM, a 200 IM, and a 400 IM. Then you have all the relays, 4x50, 4x50 medley, 4x100 free, 4x100 medley, and 4x200 free. So there is a lot of freestyle racing. And it's primarily the stroke that we use to train the most, especially when we do a longer set days. So it is really important to have a good freestyle. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by just looking at some of the catechisms. We're going to talk about some of the ways that we can have a better freestyle. So these are the catechisms we have right here. We're going to watch some great video, and then we're going to talk about them. So the first one we're going to start off with is head, steady, and level. So this is Courtney Harnish. She swims for Georgia. We're going to take a look at her swimming. We're going to watch this a couple times. And the most important thing to watch here is how her head is nice and steady. It's not moving around a lot. She's not looking up at the far end of the wall. She's not looking at her toes underneath her. Her head is looking straight down when she is not breathing. It's nice and steady. Now you're going to want you to look at how level it is. So level, how long it is with her body. If it wasn't level, like we talked about, she'd be looking up at the far wall. She'd be looking down. She is looking straight at the bottom of the pool. It's not moving much. A drill that I've used in the past and I've seen some people use is they've taken a paddle without any straps and they've placed it on their head. They've called it paddle head. And the idea is to not let the paddle move. You want it nice and straight and not moving around. Look at her head. Nice and level. Not moved around. It's real steady. Not a whole lot of movement. Even when she's breathing, she snaps it right back into that great position. So we're going to stick with Miss Courtney Harnish to look at our second catechism, which is one goggle breathing. Now for this, you want to make sure that you're seeing only one half of her face when she breathes. You're going to see one of her goggles under the water, one of her goggles in the water. It's perfect. Like we talked about in our butterfly clinic, the air right at the surface of the water is the same air that's on top of the ceiling. So you're not going to need to take a big old breath, look behind you, look up at the ceiling to get enough air. You have just enough air and all the air that you'll need right at the surface. One goggle in, one goggle out. One of the tricks that was taught to me to help with this is that you can make half of your mouth open and the other half shut and practice breathing through there. So whatever side you breathe to, practice having one side closed, one side open, and just practice while you're on land. It's a good way to use some of this time. But that one goggle in, one goggle out. You can see she's doing a little bit. Her one half of her mouth is really wide. The other half you can't see because it's underwater. One goggle breathing, head's nice and steady. We'll watch her finish this 25. We'll go on to our next one. One goggle breathing, head steady and level. Excellent. Thank you, Miss Courtney. We'll come back to you in a little bit. So the third catechism we're going to talk about is breathe with the shoulders. So we're going to watch Townley Haas. Now, we talked about him at the short course versus long course clinic about racing the 200 free. So he's our American record holder, short course 200 free. Well, he was. And he's also one of the fastest 200 freestyle long course swimmers. So we're going to watch here is how he's breathing. So breathing the shoulders. It's also about hollowing out the armpit. So you can see here is that when he's breathing, his armpit, his left armpit is nice and hollow. His shoulder's coming out of the water, and he's breathing with that. If he wasn't breathing the shoulder, his arms, his whole body would be flat, and he'd have to turn his head completely independent from his body. It'd be very uncomfortable. So what I always look for with breathing with shoulders is they have a hollow armpit, and does it fit in rhythm with their swimming? So if you can see, his breath fits really well into his stroke. Breathes right there. Armpit is nice and hollow. His shoulders rotated out of the water. And it fits really good with his stroke. It's a great rhythm. That's about 200 pace, I believe. So let's watch it one more time before we move on to the next one. Hollowed out armpit. Breathing in rhythm. Breath is nice and low. If you want to take a look at the one goggle breathing. All right, we're going to come back to Mr. Talley in a little bit. All right, the fourth catechism is called Hold the Line. This is also known as string theory. So what you're going to watch here is how they have a nice straight line from their chest all the way down to their hips. So string theory is you want to imagine a guitar string or any kind of string, and you want to hold it nice and tight. If you hold it too loose, it's going to wave all over the place, and you're going to have a really wiggly body line. If you hold it too tight, the string is going to snap, or in swimming, you're going to be almost out of the water. You're going to be almost like a kayak. You want to be nice and straight. You can see in Kay Ledecky here, nice string theory. Nice hold the line from chest to hips. Not a whole lot of wiggle in her stroke. Same with Missy Franklin. Nice hold the line. So once again, you're looking for the chest to the hips. There's not a whole lot of wiggle. If you do a lot of wiggling in your stroke, or you see yourself on video and you're moving around a lot, you are not doing a good job holding the line. You want to make sure that you are nice and tight. Squeeze your core, especially your lower core. Be nice and long. A common expression you hear some coaches say is you have to swim tall. You have to swim big. If your line is short, you're going to swim small. And your line is too tight, you're going to swim really bizarre. You're going to be sinking. Your hips are going to be low. Your lower back's going to be under the water. It's not going to be a pretty sight. Just like Goldilocks, you want that string, that hold the line to be just right. So we're going to move on to our next one. We're going to keep this video up, keep it going. The fifth catechism is fingertips, rotate the elbow, press back. And this is probably one of the most important ones, and one of the ones that we need to work on the most. So what you're seeing here for fingertips is when they enter the water, their fingertips start to bend towards the bottom of the pool. They rotate their elbows, so they're catching with a nice high elbow, and they're pressing back. They're pressing back. They're not pressing down. They're not pushing down. Notice it's a press, not a push. They're catching the water, and they're pressing it back. So you can see it really nice here with Miss Ledecky. Catches the water when she enters right away. Nice high elbow, presses the water back. She's going to catch, grab hold of it, press back. You're going to notice as soon as she enters, her fingertips bend a little bit, her elbow gets nice and high, and she presses the water back. Like I said, this is, I feel like, one of the most important freestyle catechisms and the one that everyone needs to work on the most. Fingertips, rotate the elbow, press back. Remember, it's a press, it's not a push. You don't want to push the water down. If you push the water down, you're going to be really bumpy, really bouncy. You want to catch, fingertips down, rotate the elbow up, press back. We're going to come back to this video, but there's another video of Courtney Hunter. She does a really nice job of this. Let's watch her do it. So you can see that when she enters, it's going to be a little bit of a slow motion for you. Her fingertips, she enters, she catches right away, and she presses back. Look at that. She enters, she's nice and long. Fingertips immediately point to the bottom of the pool, rotates her elbow, gets it nice and high, and presses back. Now, a really important piece of this is when your fingertips are right away, they start to bend. As you rotate your elbow, you need to make sure that your hand stays nice and straight. If, like you see, if her fingertips are down and if they stay down that whole time, she's going to lose on a lot of water. This is also called squaring the blade. So she catches, and you can see right about there as she's finishing her stroke, her whole arm from her elbow down to her fingertips is nice and straight. She has as much water she can hold, and she's pressing it back. Fingertips, rotate the elbow, press back. Fingertips, rotate the elbow, press back. It's a really good video. Like I said, this is the most important catechism in freestyle, I feel like, and the one that we need the most work on. So while we're watching this great video, we're going to go on to the next catechism, which is drive the body, hips, and shoulders through the pull. Now, we touched on this briefly with breathe the shoulders, but you want to make sure that your stroke has rhythm. You want to make sure that you are driving forward with your body, you're with your hips and your shoulder, you're catching the water, and you're rotating them through the pull. You can see that as she's doing this, when she first enters, she drives her body forward, and as she's pulling through, she's using her whole body. If she was not driving her body or hips or shoulders through the pull, you would not see any rotation. She'd be flat the whole time. But you can see she is really rotating well. Hand enters, body's nice and long, and she drives her whole body through the pull. I said if she wasn't, she'd be flat the whole time. Enters, drives her body forward, grabs hold of the water, now drives her other side forward. You want to make sure you have a nice rotation, especially in the 100 and above. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later. But you can see it right here. She is driving her body forward. She's driving her body, her hips, and her shoulder through her pull. You can see her open up her chest, being nice and long, pulling through. Great shot. Now, while we're on here, we're going to go on to our next catechism, number 7, which is stretch and snap, which she's doing a great job of. Like we talked about, driving her body. You want to stretch, grab as much water as you can, and then you got to snap your body. You got to snap the pull, push that water back. Sorry, press that water back. It's a little harder to see in slow motion, but when you get up to the Panpags video, which you talked about earlier, you're going to be able to see a great example of them stretching and snapping. So stretch and snap. Stretch, snap. You can see her snap as she rotates from side to side. She is getting a nice, good snap in. So she's stretching here, grab as much water as she can, and snaps through. Stretch and snap. If you want to have a nice, good stroke count, or you want to work on taking less strokes, stretch and snap is the one you really need to work on. Grab as much water as you can, and then snapping it through. Snap the body through. Stretch and snap. stretch, be nice and long, and snap. Awesome. All right, move on to the next one. Thank you, Miss Courtney. We're done with you. We're going to move on to number 8. Number 8, kick strong and steady. We're going to go back to Mr. Townley Haas. Very simple. Has a nice, strong kick behind him the whole time. Nice 6-beat kick. Has a lot of white balls behind him the whole time. Now, one thing I really want you guys to look at is even when he's breathing, he's kicking. A lot of the time, people will either A, they'll stop kicking when they breathe, or B, they'll over-rotate their body and their feet will start kicking to the side. When he's breathing, you can see his feet stay nice and straight. Rotates with his upper body, not so much his lower body. His lower body is the base. His upper body is the one that does the rotation. So when he's breathing, he's kicking. And when he's breathing, his feet stay nice and straight. He doesn't go side to side. Stays nice and consistent. Nice, strong, and steady kick. Great shot right there. When he's breathing, he's kicking. And they're not going side to side and staying nice and straight the whole time. Excellent. All right, on the next one. Thank you, Mr. Townley Haas. All right, number 9, straight forward, straight back. So we've talked about driving the body and hips through the pole. We've talked about stretch and snap. We've talked about being a press, not a push. But you got to make sure that you are pressing the water straight back. Especially when you're breathing. When you're breathing, people like to cross their hands in front of their body, and then they have to go back and push the water back. So when we watch Ella Easton here, the water, she's pressing it straight back. Hands enter straight forward, right outside her shoulder, and she presses the water straight back. Now, why she's doing this with a snorkel on, I have no idea, but the idea is still the same. The water's going straight back. She's pressing the water straight back. Hands enter right outside the shoulder. Catches it, straight forward, straight back. Perfect. You can see when she's breathing, she's not letting that hand go out to her side to try to balance her out. She's staying nice and long with it. And then going straight back. We'll talk a little bit more about this in Coach's Corner, but it's a great example right here. Straight forward, straight back. All right, and on to the last one. Catechism number 10, snap the breaths. We're going to go back to the pan packs. It's underwater, but you're going to be able to see them do a nice job of snapping their breath. Breathe the shoulders, and they'll get that head right back down. Their breath comes back down before that hand enters the water. So you can see this Australian, she breathes to her right and her head gets down right away. Like I said, we're going to talk more about this in Coach's Corner, but this is a great example to watch right here. She gets that head down quick. She snaps that breath. So your goal is when you're training to practice this. You want to see how much air you can get in as little time as possible. Because breathing destroys everything. It destroys your body line, destroys straight forward, straight back. So you got to make sure you are minimizing the time that you are breathing and that head is out of your line. Get that head back into that nice head steady and level position. Excellent. All right. Thank you, Pan Packs. So those are our catechisms for freestyle. Head steady and level, one goggle breathing, breathe with the shoulders, hold the line, fingertips, rotate elbow, press back, drive the body, hips and shoulders through the pole, stretch and snap, kick strong and steady, straight forward, straight back, and snap the breath. 10 really good things to work on in your freestyle. Next up, we have Coach's Corner. And I'm going to touch on the idea of space and strokes. So, the longer distance you have in a race, the more space you have to take your strokes. The idea here is you wouldn't swim a 200 like you would a 50. In a 50, you're going to take a lot more strokes. You're thinking about powering through it. In 100 and 200, you're going to be a little bit longer. You're going to be a little more patient. You're going to be a little more efficient. You still want to be effective, but you got to be efficient. The more distance you have, you want to increase the length of your strokes. You need to drive your body forward more. You got to stretch a little bit more in those longer races. So we're going to take a look at some video, but first, I want to show you guys the cycle counts for the Olympic trials of 2016. So illustrate what I'm talking to you guys here about. So this is for men. This is at 2016 Olympic trials. In a 50 free, the average male took about 19 and a half cycles. That's cycles, remember. That's about 40 strokes, about 39 to 40 strokes in a 50. Now in 100 free, the first 50, it was 16 and a half cycles. So that first 50, they had to stretch it out a little bit more. They couldn't just go 19.5 or else they would die. Now you see the second 50, they had to pick up their cycles, which makes sense. You're coming off a turn. You got to increase your tempo when you make a move. Look at the 200 free now. Now you're up 14 and a half the first 50, 16 and a half, 17 and a half the third 50, then 19. So once again, the idea is still the same. You got to stretch out. You got to be longer that first part of the race. And as you make your move, as you get tired, you're going to take more cycles. Look at the 400 free. 15 cycles, then 17, 17 and a half, 17 and a half, 18, 18 and a half, 19, 20. So the idea is the same. Stretch out. You got to be a little bit longer as the distance increases. Got to be a little bit longer with your strokes. So we're going to take a look here at some video. Now I found Dean Ferris. He's doing a 50 at the end of practice, 100, and a 200. He has to watch how his stroke changes over each distance, how as the distance increases, he's able to stretch out a little bit more. So this is Dean Ferris. He's in lane 4. This is at the end of a practice in a Speedo. So the time's not going to be crazy fast, but the idea is the same. Look, he's taking a lot of strokes. He's not breathing. There's not a whole lot of driving the body forward. It's a lot more about strokes, powering through, driving the water straight back. Not a whole lot of stretch and snap. 19.7 at the end of practice in a Speedo is pretty good. So keep that image in your mind. And now we're going to watch his 100 free from NCAAs. This is the year that he won it. So he's in the lane 4. Lane 4 right here. 1 is at the top, so 4 is right here. Blue suit, black cap. So I want you guys to remember what his 50 looked like. A lot of power, not a lot of stretch. So now he's able to stretch it a little bit more. His space increased, the distance of the race increased. So now he's able to stretch it out a little more. He's breathing a lot more. 19.4 to his feet. And now he's able to pick up his tempo a little bit more. That first 50, he was able to stretch it out just a little bit more than he did in that 50. Not a whole lot more. It still is a 100 free short course. It's still a lot about speed and power, like we talked about in our short course versus long course race clinic. It's a lot about speed and power, but he's able to stretch it out a little bit more. Great swim. Great swim. Now, keep that in mind. We're going to watch his 200 now. This is where he set the American record leading off the relay. So they're going to be in lane 5. You're going to see he's going to, once again, blue suit. He's the pink suit again. I always forget. He's the pink suit. You'll be able to see who he is right away because he'll be the one winning very shortly. But keep that image in your mind of the 50 and the 100. He's able to stretch it out even more now. Even more. He's still breathing every stroke, every cycle. And he's still going out fast. But look at him. He's able to take a lot less strokes. I mean, he's still out 20.5 to his feet. But he's able to be a lot longer while still maintaining that good stroke. As the race progresses, he's going to pick up his stroke. 42.8 to his feet in 100. And if you go 40.8 in the 100 free, you should be able to take out your 200 about 42.8. That math checks out, makes sense. It's about 2 seconds. Here we go. See, he's third 50. He picked up his tempo a little bit. He made his move. That you can see it's a great underwater shot. You can see him with that left arm stretching out just a little bit more, especially more than his 50 and a little bit more than his 100 too. And he's just blowing away the field. Remember, this is at NCAA's. Granted, they're in the B heat, but still. 129.1 American record, almost went 128, which would have been insane. Awesome. So that's the idea of space and strokes. As the distance increases, you have a little bit more space to take your strokes. And as we touched on our catechisms, breathing messes everything up, especially the timing. You got to make sure that you are breathing when the opposite hand enters. So if you breathe to your right, when those left fingers enter, you got to start breathing. So we're going to take a look at Nathan Adrian, who's one of the greatest of all time, not only sprinters for the United States, but for breathing. So this is an underwater shot. You can see as soon as his left hand enters, he's breathing and his head snaps right back down. So this is a great example of snap the breath right here. Breathes right back down. There's going to be an overwater shot in a little bit, and you're not even going to be able to see him breathe. It's so fast. But as you can see, he's breathing every stroke. Breathe, head back down. Look at that. You can't even see him breathe. Now remember, we saw him underwater. He was breathing every stroke underwater. Even that a slow motion camera can't even catch how fast it is. So you got to make sure that when that opposite hand enters, you're breathing and you're snapping that head right back down. Yeah, slow motion camera can't even catch it. And once again, if these videos are a little choppy to you guys, please feel free to shoot me an email and I can email out the PDF to you. All the races will be hyperlinked and you'll be able to watch them with commentary and not as choppy, if they are choppy for you. Excellent. So now we're going to watch Caleb Dressel. Once again, underwater. You will see how fast he's able to breathe. This is his American record from the summer. He went 46.96, the second fastest all time. Right in the middle, lane 4. So now we see him underwater, great underwater, so he's right there. And the same idea, kind of like you saw with Nathan Adrian. Now, it's not as fast, but look how fast he gets the head down. He breathes he breathes to his left, so he breathes when that right arm enters. Those right fingertips enter, and then he's able to snap his breath right back down. So you'll really be able to see it. Right fingers enter, and he's already breathing. He snaps it right back down. Look at that great stretch and snap. Look at him drive his body through his pole. Puts his head down the last 15 meters. And new American record. Great swim. But that's the idea. You don't want your breathing to mess you up. You got to make sure you're breathing fast. You're snapping that breath. You also got to make sure you're breathing at the right time. So when that opposite hand enters. And like we talked about with Kayla Decky, you don't want your breathing to mess up your length. One of the things I see a lot of people do is when they breathe, their hands either press out or their hands press straight down. They push the water down to try to keep up. When you are breathing, you got to make sure that you are holding your length. See how her arm is nice and long? I often say you have to balance on your armpit. You have to balance right here. Keep that hand nice and long. That she's got one goggle breathing. You want to make sure you hold that length when you're breathing. You don't want that arm to cross over or push down. Got to keep it long. So, that's Coach's Corner. We talked about breathing, talked about space and strokes. So now we're going to watch just a couple race videos. Since we're doing this clinic over again, we're not going to watch as many as we did in the first time we did it. So we're going to watch Kate Now, she also has one of the fastest relay splits of all time, long course. I think she went 51.0, I think, long course on a relay, which is fantastic. So she's right in the middle of the pool. She's the one that's already winning. Just a great stroke. Nice high elbow, one goggle breathing. You're going to be able to see this. She's able to really drive her body through the pool. If you can see underwater, she's fingertips, rotates the elbow, press straight back. You can see her kick when she's when she's breathing, she's driving herself forward with that kick. It's not going all over the place. Her back is nice and high in the water, which means she has a nice line. She's breathing with her shoulders. She's a great job of breathing with her shoulders. And then she's going to put her head down, finish the race. Just blew everybody away. Great swim. Great, really, really, really good freestyle. Now, if you have some spare time and would like to watch some of these videos, so she's Australian, I would compare her freestyle with Ariane Titmus. So she won the 400 free at World Championships. She actually beat Katie Ledecky. Watch how similar their freestyles are. They're totally different races, 100 free and 400 free, but it is a great example of how similar freestyles work over different distances. I'd recommend all these, but if you want to watch some good distance racing, I'd watch the 500 free American record set by Kieran Smith, University of Florida. He went 4:06. His slowest 100, I believe, was about 50.2. So he averaged about 49s. I would also recommend the 1650, which is 14:12. That's the American record set by Bobby Fink. He held 51.9 per 100 free. It's a great race. But let's see. We're going to watch one more. Well, I'll watch one more, and we'll call it a day. We're going to watch the 200 free American record by Michael Phelps. This is still the American record. It was only broken in 2009 by a German named Paul Biedermann. And I think this American record is going to stand for a very, very, very long time. 142 is quite fast. So this is the finals, and he's going to be in lane 6. This is a great example of being long, like we talked about, space and strokes. So he's in lane 6 right there. I would also recommend watching this commentary. It's really good. They talk about how he can go out faster than everybody, but he also can bring it back faster than everybody. Now at this meet, Michael Phelps set the American record leading off the 2008 relay. So he's able to go out kind of fast, but he's able to keep it long. Look how long he is. He's really riding his stroke. He's really balancing on that armpit. He's got nice one goggle breathing. Breathing with his shoulders. He has nice hollow armpit on his side right there. The kick is nice and strong and steady. Remember, this is at the Olympics 2008. These are the best swimmers in the world, and he's already a full body length ahead of them. It's not even the first 100 yet. So he's out 50.2 at the first 100. He's almost a full second under the world record. Look at that nice freestyle. Nice high elbow. Bring the shoulder, that one goggle breathing. You can see his back nice and out of the water. Which means he's got a nice line. His head's nice and steady. He's not looking up at the wall. He picked up his tempo going this last turn. Good underwaters. And he's just gone. Remember, this is the Olympics. He's beating everybody. Getting tired, but he's powering through. His tempo picks up. Like I said, this is probably one of the more unbreakable American records that we have. That's insane. So he was 50.2 and then 52.7. So an insanely good swim. Great split. Like we talked about at the short course versus long course racing. That's about what it is. It's about 2.5 to 3 seconds in that range. Great swim. Great example of the catechisms. Really good freestyle. So that's about it for everything. Like I said, if you guys would like to get the PDF, feel free to email me and I'll send it to you. All the races are hyperlinked. I'd really recommend watching some good ones here while we're out of the water, getting ready to get back in. It's a great time to work on the little things and increasing your knowledge as a swimmer. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a good night, and we'll see you guys on the pool deck soon. Thank you.